Good afternoon, everybody. This is our very first time having the Healthy Mind podcast. On this podcast, what we want to do is talk about mental health, recovery, overcoming challenges, and ways we can reduce stigma regarding the mental health community. And I'm very excited today for our very first guest. We have Ruby with us. How's it going, Ruby?
Good.
Thank you for agreeing to come on to the podcast, being our very first guest. Let's just start with something really simple, Ruby. Tell me a little bit about your recovery.
Well, I've struggled with substance, starting with cigarettes and then beer, stealing it from my parents. And then it went into a little bit of marijuana, but that wasn't that big of a deal for me until I started doing meth at 14. And basically, meth is like the reason for everything that I've been through.
What started you down that road of using substances? You started at a young age, you said 12. You remember what it was that started that?
Well, my dad's wife was abusive, and I think that she messed up how I saw the world. And I ended up getting depressed, which I think was more normal, but she ended up having the pediatrician prescribe me medication when I was 12 without my parents' permission. And I think that caused a chemical reaction in my brain to make me more suicidal, depressed, angry, mood swings, all of that.
So you eventually got into meth, and that's what probably, you were saying that kind of led down to a lot of the other things that happened. Was meth, how were you introduced to meth?
I had older friends that did it. And they unfortunately introduced me to it, and I liked it. And I wasn't a rich kid or anything by any means, but I was more well off than a lot of my friends. So I was the one with money and stuff and cigarettes when I could, and so I that's how I got money or drugs.
And you said about 14 when you started using.
Mm-hmm.
What led you down the path to stopping?
I would have never stopped on my own. I used heavily for like 2 years, and my mental illness actually happened when I was 15. I stopped doing meth because of my living situation, and I totally started hallucinating, like seeing things, delusional, and I got into the hospital, suicidal stuff, homicidal stuff, just all those intense emotions and hearing voices and things like that.
And you said you were around the age of 15?
When I got diagnosed with drug-induced schizophrenia.
Are you comfortable sharing any other diagnoses?
I don't mind sharing my diagnosis. I have schizoaffective bipolar type 2 and borderline personality disorder is my primary diagnosis. I also have PTSD.
And so you said that you would have never stopped using if it wasn't for, did you say going into the hospital and things like that?
Well, I didn't even stop then. I relapsed again once when I was 17, 18. I did it a few times, and then I relapsed when I was 25.
How old are you now?
33.
Okay.
And I still relapsed again after that.
In my peer support training and just being a staff here at Ren and believer in recovery, it's never bad to take a few steps back. Sometimes we have to really appreciate where we were before that happened, and then also to give us perspective onto why we want to continue moving forward,
Right.
What is one major challenge that you faced in your recovery?
Well, my first relationship, I was with a 23-year-old when I was 14. And he used to punch me and give me black eyes. And he used to steal stuff from me and make me sell my personal items. I was a blessed child, and he would make me sell it for drugs and stuff like that. And then I went into, after him, my next relationship was just as bad. It wasn't as physical, even though it got physical. It was mostly emotional, psychological, and financial abuse. He just would keep me down. He would throw away my pills. He wouldn't want me to take my medicine. He would do things to he would gaslight me. and he would break my things. He would steal from me. Yeah, it was not a good thing. I dealt with like a lot of domestic violence.
Going through that relationship, do you find that any of those negative experiences that you had with him kind of bleed over into forming new relationships?
Yeah, so I was obsessed with him. Like, it took me years to see the abuse behind it. And so when I got into my relationship with my children's father, like, there's a lot of things I expected. And he was a totally different person. And I don't know, it is what it is, but he wasn't that great either. And I think every relationship I'm learning something new. Yeah. But I do have PTSD from being abused, and certain songs will make me have flashbacks, and I don't like feeling vulnerable like I used to be, even though I didn't think I was, you know.
A part of my recovery is that I was the one, though I didn't do any domestic violence to one of my partners who I was supposed to marry and be with for the rest of my life, I did a lot of things that I regret to this day. And trying to move forward in my own recovery and in myself and not let those past negative qualities about me that no longer exist, like, hamper on my soul is always something that's
Yeah, I forgive them. Both of them didn't grow up in a very good, loving household. You know, like, I look at the psychology behind why they did what they did, and I do know. So I forgive them, and I move past that. Like, the relationships after those two relationships were a little bit better, as long as I remember them with a new person, you know, and I'm open and honest with them. And it's affected my current relationship because I literally told him, don't ever hit me because I will call the police on you. I do not take physical abuse, you know, and I have to hold my boundaries a lot harder now too, because a part of the second relationship, I was so young, I would put boundaries, but I wouldn't hold to them.
Yeah, hold people accountable.
I wouldn't hold them accountable. So it was just a big sloppy mess. Yeah.
I'm a big believer that in relationships, there's certain things that you have to sacrifice for your partner. There's certain things that you can come to a compromise on. But then there's also certain things that you stand firm on that are part of your essential core values and norms, right? Who you were brought up with. Ruby, we just finished up talking about, relationships, substance abuse, and domestic violence. I'd like to talk a little bit about, actually, your story here at Ren. So what brought you here to Recovery Empowerment Network?
RST.
That's the program that's here at Ren, Recovery Support Training. 5 weeks of in-class work and 1 week of practicum. Practicum is like on-the-job training, like you're shadowing other recovery coaches, helping facilitate groups, things like that, getting feedback. What was your experience like going through the program?
It was mind-blowing, interesting, and insightful.
What was one part of the program that really stood out to you?
To help people reach their full potential, not do it for them, but to help them do it themselves. And how to do that was really cool. Or techniques and ways of how to do it. The fact that it's a whole movement, that people are trying to inspire each other to find recovery.
And that is something that is instilled in Peer Support, the idea that we're not doing things for others, but we're trying to help find ways to do it for themselves, in a constructive way, learning, facilitating.
Guiding. Being a role model.
Yeah. What was one thing you would like people to know about living with a mental health challenge?
That I'm intelligent, and most people with mental illness is the same way as me, and that we can do anything any other person can do, and the same rights as everybody else as well, and that it's hard to live with it, but I think it makes us accepting of other people and more helpful and kind.
I love that. What is one future goal you have for yourself on your recovery journey?
One goal I have for myself, besides my yearly goals this year, is I want to become a doctor.
Do you have a specific area or field of medicine that you wanted to go into?
Honestly, I probably would lean more towards psychiatry or a coroner. The fact that I would be around people in their worst moments and like trying to help figure out how they died, just be there for them like that.
Well, and psychology, what interests you about that area?
I love psychology. I find the brain fascinating, and I just want to inspire other people like me to follow their dreams, and if I can do it, they could do it as well.
Have you begun to look for a role, a position in peer support yet?
Yeah, but unlucky for me, I live like kind of out of the city and I don't have a car at the moment. But that is my ultimate goal this year. My first goal is to get a job, any job, work full-time until I can save enough up for a car and find a peer support job that I can work part-time in so I can go to college next year.
How do you feel about taking on that kind of responsibility with a job?
I'm excited. I want to make money, and it's leading to my ultimate goals, so I'm excited about it. It'll be frustrating. Last time I worked, I wasn't on medication, and that made it a little bit more difficult. Me personally, I need medication, and I just figured this out like within the last 2 years. I'm doing really well now on it, so thankfully I think I can do this working thing.
It sounds like you have a great insight into who you are, what your body needs, what your mind needs. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you have brought to the table for today.
My physical health and wellness goals and successes, because I feel like physical health is really important for mental health. When I'm more active and eating more healthier, I am more clear-minded. I have more energy. I don't hear as many voices. I don't have as bad anxiety. I also quit smoking recently. Yeah, I started smoking when I was 12.
And that's when you said you basically began getting into substances.
Yeah. This is my 4th time quitting in the last 10 years. They say it takes on average a smoker to quit smoking 7 times before it clicks. Yeah.
Why did you choose to stop smoking cigarettes?
For my health.
Okay. Did you feel like it was already taking effect on your health, or are you thinking more just long-term longevity of your life?
I have to take an inhaler now, and I'm only 33. And it's from smoking. Yeah. My lungs sound bad, and so I have to do it for my health.
Do you have any goals for yourself regarding your wellness?
At the moment, I have a small goal of losing 30 pounds in the year. I lost 30 pounds last year, and I'm not in a hurry to lose weight because I'm doing it for my health.
What kind of activities or groups do you do here at Ren to help with that?
I go to the gym. I sign up for salads. I go camping, which a lot of time has like physical activities like hiking and obstacle courses. And
what do you like to do in the gym?
I like the circuit training, and they have they're doing dance classes right now on Thursdays. Those are kind of cool.
What's the second topic you wanted to discuss?
My hobbies. I like to make jewelry, drawing, painting, Wicca, camping, cooking, shopping. I just love staying busy and doing arts and crafts and making things.
So when do you usually make these things? Like, where do you find time in your schedule?
I just find time like on the weekends or after I come home from Ren. I don't know, just the action of doing it is calming, and it's rewarding to see something come from nothing, especially when it comes out looking really good. Mm-hmm. That is satisfactory.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way you put that. There really is no better reward and you realize like, wow, this wouldn't exist if it wasn't for my intervention, like me actually making it become something. Have you ever thought of turning any of your hobbies into like a career?
I've thought about it. I used to paint and draw, and I know that a lot of people like my art. I could see myself selling jewelry and stuff like that, but once I start making money from a hobby, it's not as fun as it used to be.
So, tell us about your third topic you wanted to discuss.
I just wanted to give a shout out to my support system. Okay. My mom, she's always there for me, and she's like the best part of my family, and my kids are always there for me. And my grandparents, they're always there for me. And Ren. I really love Ren. Everybody I have met here is really wonderful people. Like if you talk about any of your problems, somebody here is gonna relate to you. I've noticed. And if they don't relate with you, they're honest about it, but they're still there for you. It's just really great feeling knowing that you're not alone in this life. You're not the only person that's struggled with mental health issues and substance use disorders and,
And I liked how you put that where you said there is usually a staff here in some way or another that can relate to something that someone's going through. But, in peer support, what we try to instill and recognize is that you don't need to 100% meet every single, every other person's experience. That's impossible, right? For myself, when I'm looking at a situation where I can't fully relate to somebody's experience, I no longer try to look at the physical aspect of that experience. I try to look at what the emotional effect is of it onto somebody, right? Somebody might be telling me that they're homeless and that, they don't have anybody to depend on and that they feel alone. No, I've never been homeless, so I can't relate to you on that aspect. Have I ever felt so alone and lonely in life that I didn't have anyone to turn to or just to have my back? Yes, I have. While I can't relate 100% and maybe I can't help in every regards to that challenge that person is feeling, there's still an emotional connection there that can be made with people. And that's what here at Ren and in peer support in general, we try to find. Why do you think it's important to have a support system?
Because human beings aren't meant to be alone. We're social creatures like dolphins, monkeys, dogs. We're supposed to have people in our lives in one form or another.
So Ruby, these next two topics that you wanted to discuss, I was very interested in, but can you tell us the very first topic that you wanted to speak on next?
It's originally where I learned about peer support, but it's called psychosocial rehabilitation, or a PSR. And like I said, I had a PSR, and she would take me out in the community, and we'd just go for walks, go to the grocery store, just everyday normal things. And that I was scared to do. I was anxious all the time, and she was just basically was there for me the whole time and held my hand and guided me into being comfortable with social situations and public outings and things like that.
So it sounds like what this is it's much more of a in the field or like hands-on approach,
right?
To like mental health,
right?
Like really getting people out there into social environments. So do you still practice this to this day?
I learned a lot of things. Okay, for example, I have a friend that isolates and they're comfortable with it. And I told them I used to be the same way because it felt like bad or something that they do that. And I'm like, I was the same way. And I told them about how I haven't always been social, that I had to actually have therapy to be able to be social and to like go into public places and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have a second one on here. Tell me a little bit about that one.
So I think it's the same thing. When I had my PSR, my psychosocial rehabilitation person, they changed the name into CBRS, which is Community-Based Rehabilitation Services. It was basically the same thing.
When I did my research on it as well, I was noticing that yes, it seems very much the same idea, right? A very hands-on approach, getting into a social environment, but having somebody there who can support you. So let's move into the very last aspect of our discussion today. So you had prepared something here for us, correct?
I really wanted to write a poem, and sometimes I can write really good. It's basically about how blessed I am, saying thank you to my support system and the mental health field that has always been there for me. I didn't give it a name, but it says, feeling safe or completely at rest, unique experience. Turmoil, pain, fear, anxiety, daily fight with me. Imagination, disconnected, opposed to knowing, always questioned. But when I do, as I am told, my life gets better, turns to gold. Trust, respect, and honesty, love and peace and harmony. That's truly all I see. Lucky me.
Very nice. Thank you so much for that. How long did it take you to write that?
Like 2 weeks.
Is that normal or
No.
no?
I had writer's block.
Yeah. Oh, I get writer's block all the time. Well, you came up with something great. I really appreciated your rhyme scheme there. Do you normally write poems in that kind of way?
I write them different ways. It just depends how I feel, yeah. I like to write haikus too.
I thought that was fantastic. And I think your ending line, especially of Lucky Me, is so positive. And I think that's something that I really loved about it.
Well, that's why I want to like say like I've been through a lot and I struggle, but by going and helping myself and using the services available for me, like I'm really truly blessed.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic that you're here and you found a place like Ren to help you, but I also think it's just fantastic what you found in yourself and what you've been through. So we are out of time for today. So are there any last things you want to close on, Ruby, before we end?
Everyone that's listening to this, you're amazing and beautiful, individual, unique, like the stars. Thank you for having me.
And thank you, Ruby, for being here.